Requiem, meanwhile, was still preoccupied with the tennis. He had been playing furiously with his invisible opponent. No one knew of their secret game, which was causing the ball to defy belief with every kind of spin and bounce imaginable, the net to fling the ball back and rackets to lose their punch. The players, the crowd, even the commentators could not believe what they were seeing. It was making tennis history. Due to all the energy Requiem and his opponent were using, the wind had become furious and was nearly stopping serves dead in their tracks. When, despite his best efforts, the ball seemed to stop in mid-air, Requiem looked up to see that they had sucked in so much energy that the hole he had punched in the clouds to let the sun shine on centre court had been replaced with a thunderous sky. Lightning streaked and the heavens opened. Play was reluctantly called off, and the entire crowd left the court to seek refuge from the pounding rain. There was only Requiem left now, sitting in the dark, and with no sign of his assailant. Requiem sat calmly. He knew their game wasn't going to be stopped by the rain. Suddenly something caught his eye. He could see drops of rain gaining energy as they changed from a grey-blue colour to shimmering gold and bright red as they scattered. The coloured drops got closer and closer, and, at their centre, he could now see an orb of brilliant green light. To Requiem, such a thing was little more than a parlour trick, and he sat there unmoved, calmly deflecting a hurtling tennis ball inches from his face. The ball ploughed into a chair behind him, dislodging it from the floor. "Still out there, then," Requiem said quietly to himself. "Good." Requiem stood up and walked to the main seating area. Using the same trick Gear had used in Africa, Requiem surrounded himself with an invisible barrier of heat, which caused the rain to turn into steam on contact with his body and puddles bubble underfoot. The clouds grew ever more heavy and dark, imposing their huge shadow on centre court. Distinct shadows merged into a blanket of grey. The hairs on the back of Requiem's neck stood on end as he span around, but nothing was there. The only energy signals to be seen were that of the twinkling rain as it fell to earth in vast sheets. As Requiem turned to continue his scout, a profusion of green lights caught his eye. All the balls on court began to rise silently into the air. Without warning, they darted toward Requiem like bullets from a machine gun, racing with such ferocity they turned the rain into steam. Requiem did his best to dodge and deflect the balls, which left burning holes in seats and floors as they bounced around the court. Requiem span this way and that, trying desperately to pick up some trace of his assailant, but he couldn't, which angered him more than the attack itself. With a wave of his arm, Requiem sent chairs flying into the air in an attempt to flush it out. With every sweep of his arm, Requiem's rage grew, attracting lightning to his body. Every bolt lit Requiem's eyes with fire as he snarled, baring his gritted teeth. Now in a blind rage, Requiem continued to send chairs flying, destroying the royal box and ploughing the posts of the net into the television stand. Amidst all this, a bolt of lightning missed Requiem and hit a part of the stands. Requiem was quick to pick up on what must have been another Akatsuki drawing energy, and he strode purposefully over to where the lightning had struck, scorching the court with every footstep. As he got closer, he noticed something odd about the rain. It was stopping prematurely, causing the outline of something to appear, something inhuman and not at all small or fluffy. Requiem didn't need the rain to see what he was facing. The aura of a beast was now all too evident as it rose slowly from the shadow. Requiem had never seen anything like this before. Usually, the aura of something resembled the thing itself in outline and detail. However, no detail could be seen in this beast, only a large black silhouette. There were no pulses or sparks of energy. In fact, the opposite. Requiem could see the blue-grey rain drops hit the hulking black outline and disappear. More lightning struck the beast as it yelled out. Instead of causing the beast's aura to crackle with energy, there was nothing, just darkness. As the beast growled and snarled at Requiem, he was sure that despite appearing so, it was not merely a shadow of something else. The beast was taking in energy, and it wouldn't be long before it struck out again. Another bolt hit and disappeared inside the beast as though it were a void. "Right, that is enough of that," Requiem exclaimed. Staring at the beast, Requiem thrust his hand to the sky, clenched his fist, and pulled it down. As if he were holding on to the clouds themselves, bright sun started to flood the court as the layer of cloud peeled back. Requiem stood and watched as the beast ran away from the crest of light that was moving towards it and sank its black void-like body back into the shadow of the wrecked royal box. "Oh no, you can't hide there. That's for people with decorum," shouted Requiem as he fixed the box with a flick of the wrist, followed by the rest of the court. With the scene now restored to its ordered glory, Requiem manoeuvred the light so that it lit everywhere but one small seat in the corner of the court. He cautiously walked over to the shadow and stared down at it. Nothing. If the beast was there, Requiem could not distinguish it from the shadow. He turned to walk away when suddenly a black-clawed hand shot out from the shadow and grabbed his ankle. The arm attempted to drag Requiem into the shadow. Looking down, Requiem spoke in a deathly voice. "I have claws too." Looking up, Requiem summoned the sun and eradicated the last of the shadow whilst pulling his foot free. He did not get long to gloat on his victory, however, as the brilliant sunshine had brought back the crowds and their strawberries. Deciding that he had a few questions for the Inquisitor that were long overdue, Requiem promptly summoned his monolith. The monolith burst into life in front of the group, who were still crowded around the Inquisitor's chair, talking as Requiem stormed through. "So tell me, O knowledgeable one, what lurks in the shadows, and when it stands tall is as black as night without a single star, and why does it want me?" The monolith slammed shut violently behind Requiem, reinforcing his angry words. The Inquisitor looked at Requiem with an unusual spark in his eye as he stroked his chin. "Lurks in the shadows, you say? As black as night?" "Yes," snapped Requiem. "It tried to drag me into a shadow, but I hit it with light and escaped." "This is most worrying. You have encountered a dark stalker," replied the Inquisitor in a thoughtful tone. Havoc and Pathfinder looked at one another in alarm, leaving the rest of the group both confused and chilled. "A dark stalker," continued the Inquisitor, "is a powerful beast. It absorbs all energy, all heat, all light. It takes everything. That is why it appears black. It takes everything in, but gives nothing out, unless it is to strike. Due to this, they live in the shadows. Standing in broad daylight would be too obvious, as you would see a random blot of black on the landscape. They use their phenomenal energy to exist in a different plane. They literally sit inside shadows and attack their victims from a distance. If needs be, they make everything dark so that they can roam freely. The only way to handle them is to do as you did and flood the area with soft light. If there are no shadows, they may decide to leave. Then again, Darkstalkers only use shadows for camouflage, so if they really want you, they will stand there and gladly take in all the light you have produced to chase it away." "Wow," said Kyo, impressed. "How'd you find these things?" "More importantly, why are these things after him?" asked Freya, distressed. Havoc replied in a low growl. "Darkstalkers are the assassins of the Black Guild." "Someone really wants you dead, my friend," said Pathfinder, placing his hand on Requiem's shoulder. "Indeed. It would appear you are facing a difficult trial, but you should not dwell on that. You beat it once, you can do so again. For now, you need to focus on this book." The Inquisitor dismissed the Darkstalker threat and held up Vega's Chronicle. Back in the ivory tower, Erebus and Akuma were watching proceedings unfurl from the round room. Erebus turned to address Akuma. "A difficult trial indeed." Is there any reason you felt the need to unleash the assassins of the Black Guild against one of your own? With a sly smile, Akuma looked down at Erebus. As you said before, Requiem is one of my best. If you are to take him from me, I want to make sure it is right. After all, I could do with him hanging around for a bit longer. Carry on like this, and all you'll have are bits of Requiem hanging around all over the place, retorted Erebus, as he stared unflinchingly into Akuma's glare. Only Erebus was strong enough to return quips with Akuma and stare him in the eye. But Akuma wasn't worried. For him, things were going very well, and he returned his attentions to the projection. He's a tough lad. I have no doubt he can handle it. Anyway, the Darkstalkers have had so little to do in the last few decades, they need something to get their teeth into. Akuma peered down at Erebus through the corner of his eye before adding in a sinister tone, lest they decide to attack the population at large. I see. Erebus could read Akuma's threat loud and clear, but was unfazed. I'm sure you're right. Requiem may even do us a favour and dispense with these vile beasts once and for all. Turning his back on Akuma, Erebus left the room. He had had enough of the Demon Lord for one day,